Well, Michael Ryan's new book, The Road from Ballymac, was launched on Tuesday night at a virtual event hosted by the Daisha in Dublin Supporters Club. And The Road from Ballymac is currently available in all good bookstores. Well, Michael has spent over 45 years managing teams, and I asked him firstly about his early days in charge of the Ballymac ladies football team.
Yeah, well, initially I was involved with Ballymac for 1 year back in 1975, and that was just I was still a teenager, and they couldn't get anybody to look after the team, so I took it for a year. But then I drifted away. I was playing myself, and I got married in 1980, and my sister Bernie was playing, my wife Catherine was playing, and I didn't have any big interest in it, but they had a very committed group of players, and I remember in those days it was a knockout championship in Waterford. If you lost the first round, you were gone for the year. The Nile were beaten in the first round of the football. Fulham Water were beaten in the first round of the hurling. I remember I was building a cattle grid outside on the way into our house. I live in the country, so the towny boys might know what a cattle grid is. It's great to stop cattle running your lawn. But it was, and my wife and sister came out. They were sitting on the wall and they were talking. And I was wondering what's coming next. So they asked me would I give a hand to train the team, and kind of they got a bit persuasive about it. So I remember walking down to the Millfield later on that afternoon, and they were training and seeing a group of people. And my first reaction was, they were just starting out in their career. But there was one girl called Marie Crotty. She's actually listening there tonight, and she'd be delighted with this. She was such a talented player. She was the one player in the group with solo and kick the ball, could score, could do just about anything with the ball. But anyway, I took him for a session, and I quickly formulated a plan that I'd run the legs of him and train really hard, and they'd never come back again. And I remember we trained very, very hard that afternoon, that evening. And when I said when it was over, I hadn't thought the plan through. I said, what are we going to do next? So it came into my head that what we'll do is we'll train again tomorrow night, you're so unfit. And I thought there'd be nobody there. I think there was 15 there the first night. And lo and behold, when I turned up the second night, there was 17 there. It was probably one of the most fortunate things that ever happened to me, that accidentally I stumbled on a group of absolutely brilliant players with a fantastic attitude. Some of the players who were there for that first couple of years, didn't make it all the way to go apart, but they were part of the foundation. They were they set the wheels in motion, and they got the thing up and running. But for the next, whatever it was, 25 years or so, it played a huge part of my life. But I worked with a fantastic group of individuals who were so committed, first of all, to their club, and then they started representing the county. They were so proud to wear the Ballymac jersey, and then so proud to wear the Waterford jersey. And we had fantastic success, incredible times, great moments together. And I will always be eternally grateful to that particular group of players right from day one to the day I did my last game of Waterford in 2006, 25 years later.
Would it be fair to say you were ahead of your time in terms of video analysis as well, Michael?
Well, I remember my wife used to work at the glass factory in Dungarvan in those days, and I remember one year they were allowed by the old video recorders at a special rate, and she gave me a present of a video recorder. And I'll never forget it. There was one tape with it, the tape of the 1982 World Cup. And I think I tell this story in the book about, there was one tape, and it was about, I remember the first line of the tape was, it began in Barcelona with a dope of peace and ended in Madrid in triumph for Italy. The inaugural game was played in Barcelona. The final was played in Madrid. But, we got somebody start videoing matches, and quickly found it was a big help. And because I remember we videoed the game with the Nile. I always thought I was a great player until someone said in the video. And then I realised I wasn't nearly as good as I thought I was. So there was something to be learned from it. We reckoned we could learn about players as well. So, we videoed loads of games, and Bridget Grant would have been with me for many, many years. She was a great ladies football woman and a great friend of mine and a very shrewd football woman. We used to get all the games videoed and sit down maybe at that night at home. Actually, unbelievably, Tomas wouldn't be heard of in those days. We'd come back after a match, we'd have the videotape with us, and the whole team would cram into our front room. There might be 20 bodies sitting on the floor, sitting on the couch. We'd watch the match, watch it all over again. And, they were a group of players who weren't particularly interested in drinking or socialising. They were just interested in football. So when everybody got home that night, it might be 12 o'clock, I'd put on the tape and I'd get out my jotter, and you could rewind it, you could fast forward it, and then start taking notes. And that would probably go on for the next 3 or 4 nights, next training session. We'd work on the things that we felt we needed to do better. Because, remember, we were a mile away from Kerry teams, and we were a mile away from success in those days. But so we had to learn, we had to do everything we could to be as good as we could. So that played an important part, and I suppose probably there wouldn't have been too many video recorders around in 1982 or 3.
No, certainly not, Michael, and it played a big part in your success. And you went on to win 5 Senior All-Irelands with the Waterford ladies in the 90s. But you described the 1998 replay win over Monaghan as the greatest day of your sporting life. Why did you say that?
First of all, just to touch back briefly, when we won the Junior All-Ireland in 86, we had to be regraded down to junior because we were out of our depth in senior. So we won the Junior All-Ireland, and Kerry had a fantastic team. We talk about great teams of today. That Kerry team would be up there with any team ever played a game. But between 1987 and 1990, we played Kerry in 8 major games. We played them in 4 Munster finals. We played them in 3 National League finals and a National League semi-final. And they beat us in every single game. And I remember the last time we played them was up in Cappoquin. We really felt we were going to win the game, and they beat us again. And we didn't know how we'd turn. But and then finally we cracked it the following year. We played them down in Listowel at Kerry. We won the Munster final. We were actually 7 points down after 17 minutes. And on you all got a goal. The ball came back across there. Between the case, he got another goal. And they got a penalty. We put Marie Crotty in goal for the penalty. We always did that. She was a big name player. She was our top player. And we always felt it upset the opposition to see her going into goal because everybody knew how good she was. But we beat Kerry that day, and it started it all, I suppose, at county level. And I remember she did an interview with the Kerry man, with the Kerry radio. And she said, for the last 4 years, we came to play Kerry. Today we came to win. And that's the difference. So then we went on a good run. We won 4 All-Irelands the next 5 years. And then we played Monaghan, first of all in the semi-final in 96. And then Zeverly beat us up in a place called Bog. And the following year we played them in Croke Park. And, the referee added on 11 minutes and 52 seconds. And that story's gone into folklore now. So we met again the following year. And we played them in Croke Park. It was the first game ever televised live. The Sunday game got the full works, Spillane and Liam's pal, Colm O'Rourke and co. And it was a cracking match. We conceded a lot of goals that day. We drew the game eventually. They actually got a late goal to draw the game. But I remember we had a brother by the name of Brother Lennon involved in our backup team from St. Augustine's College in Dungarvan. And I was actually talking to him on the phone the other day. A serious man, and we got 3 weeks to prepare. And, we felt that day we were pushed around the pitch a little bit. So we decided the next day that that right from the throw-in, we put down markers all over the pitch, which we did. Some of our players, we won all the physical battles that day and eventually won the match. But I remember walking off the pitch, and in those days in Croke Park, for some reason, I was always the last guy to leave the dressing room. I suppose after a match, as a manager, you're wrecked. There's so much gone into it, and there's so many different things to be looked after. And in those days, we didn't have the huge backroom teams that you have today. But I remember walking out of the dressing rooms and walking across the pitch. It was just getting dark because it was in November. I think it was the end of October. I remember looking up at the Giants, the Dublin skyline. It was a huge crane up on one side, dominating the skyline, and it was just getting dark. And over on the right-hand side, the scoreboard saying, after a cracking game of football, Waterford 2-14, Monaghan 3-8. And I remember thinking, this is as good as it gets. But the satisfaction from winning that, I suppose maybe we won 4 first, and we got maybe a little bit used to winning, then just taken away. Like anything, Tomas, when what you've worked hard to get is taken away. And by a very good Monaghan team, that be said, to win it back again after such a battle was so satisfying. So that day gave me huge satisfaction.
Absolutely. And I think Waterford GA supporters really got behind you, Michael, during the 90s. And then they followed your progress when you went into the hurling side. You were in as Mayor 4 now with Justin McCarthy. You managed De La Salle, won a county and a Munster. Then you took over as Waterford manager, of course, for 2 years. And you go into that in great detail in the book. And I think you're very honest and forthright, of what happened in those couple of years. But the night against Kilkenny, and a lot of people on the call tonight will remember that epic qualifier. Went to extra time, lost out narrowly to Kilkenny. I remember meeting Tommy Welsh, the Kilkenny hurler, in the tunnel after the game. He said it was like being in the Coliseum that night, hot July night in Thurles. How did you feel after that game?
Well, first of all, my initial reaction would always be, anytime we lost the game, I didn't mind who we were playing, disappointed we lost the game. And we had 1 or 2 chances. But At the same time, I had a good background team with me, Pat Flanagan and Jimmy Payne, their strength and conditioning. I felt physically, first of all, we matched Kilkenny physically that night. And to me, I could see the team coming together. I felt, there was it was Jamie Bernal's, I think, maybe first championship season. And we knew there was other good Ty DeBorka. We would have been aware of him coming through. A lot of good young players coming through. Austin Gleason as well felt like that. We felt, that there was a lot of really good players coming through. Very disappointed we lost the game, but really looking forward to the next year because we felt there was something to build upon. We felt there was a good couple of players. We felt that we were starting to put our stamp on it. And Sean Coleman was with me, Ray Murphy as well. We felt that, that progress had been made. Really looking forward to the future. And, to be honest, I mean, I spoke to Brian Cody after the match and he was honest enough. He said to me, I thought we were gone. And like Brian doesn't say that too often. He'd be a very honest fella as well. And I remember being in the Kilkenny dressing room, saying a few words after, and, it was so quiet. They realised that, that they, I wouldn't say they got away with one, but they realised how close it had been. And, Shefflin came on, he was taken off. Walter Welch, I think the same. And, a lot of their top players were moved around. And Kilkenny don't do that for fun. They do that when they're under pressure or when their backs are to the wall. But, that my gut feeling that evening was delighted the way we played, disappointed we didn't win, but really looking forward to the next 12 months, which didn't happen.
Where were you, Michael, when you got the call that the players wanted to change management?
I remember sitting down, I think I said very clearly in the book, I was sitting down at home. And I remember the chair I was in, sitting exactly just in the corner of the room, and a fella called Pat Grant rang. Pat would have been a friend of mine. And he said the players wanted to change the management. And I must admit I was very, very surprised. And that, apparently this had been... Jimmy Payne did tell me a couple of months before that, he said he felt there was something happening behind the scenes. And I remember distinctly where I was. I met the county board the following morning in the Park Hotel, in Lawless Hotel, actually. I remember distinctly. It's a bit like... I'm old enough to remember where I was when I heard the news that John F. Kennedy got shot, or when 9/11 came tumbling down. So I remember exactly where I was when I got the phone call. I remember exactly where I was, the meeting, where we had the meeting. And in fairness, county board official said, if I were you, he said, I'd go into the room. The county board is certainly going to reappoint you on your track record. Now, it has to be said, my 2 years term was up. To be fair about it, that has to be said. I remember he said, you'll be reappointed. He said, if I were you, I said, I'd win. I'd invite all the players in. I'd open the door and I'd say, anybody's not happy, leave. And I said to them, what happens if they all leave? And I'd seen it happen with other guys as well. Didn't want to go down that road. And look, at the end of the day, you're disappointed. It takes a bit of getting over, but I'm well over it now and I'm up and running.
You're over 45 years now managing teams. And 2021 is probably one of your busiest ones because you're managing the Formal Water Senior Hurlers, the Nair Senior Footballers, the Ballymac Harbury Ladies Football Team, and you're selected with the Waterford Minor Hurlers. Why have you decided to take on all that this year?
Well, first of all, maybe there's something wrong with me because I feel about 25 years of age. I feel I have loads of energy. I am bore stiff at the moment. And there's nothing to do. I built a stone wall at the back of the house, down along the gable end of the house. I'm still building I could end up on the main road building because I have nothing to do. And it is my hobby. And I suppose I would have played hurling with Formal Water and the Nair. And this is the first time I would have been involved coaching. We won intermediate championship back in 79. I was coaching the team. And again in 89, we did a little bit of work with the Nair, particularly in underage as well. So I suppose it was an opportunity. And my son is on the team. But isn't that? There's a great pride in your own place. One of my best ever days was the day that I won the first county senior football championship back in 1993. And actually, the guy who I worked with, my partner, Sean Galloway, was managing that team. And there was a great satisfaction. There's a good bunch of lads there. They're our own really, and it is an opportunity. And I didn't envisage getting involved with so many teams. And Gary O'Keefe asked me as well and Ray Murphy about the Waterford Minors. If I had known so many, I probably would have pulled back on one or two. But look, I'm in it, and I will do the very best I can. I'll give every spare moment I have to it. But above all, Tomas, nobody will enjoy it as much as I.
We love Waterford. We are WLR.
Well, the Mark Dalton 5K run and walk is taking place over Easter weekend. Mark is a Waterford minor dual star from the Shamrocks Club. He was involved in a car accident along with his twin brother Tom and 3 friends in Youghal last December. Mark suffered serious spinal injuries, and a GoFundMe page has raised over €315,000 so far. Mark's school, Pobble Scoil na Trínoide in Youghal, organised a virtual 5k runner walk and sent out blue and white Wear It For Mark t-shirts. Well, earlier this week, Gavin Whelan spoke to former Waterford hurler and organiser of the GoFundMe page, Peter Quealy, and he says that it's all systems go for this weekend.
Yeah, look, the school are very keen to do a fundraiser. They've been planning this with a while. There's a lot of work gone into it. Great credit to them for, I suppose it has been easy. Normally a run like this would be come and collect your T-shirts. They've had to package and post every one of them T-shirts, so there's a lot of work gone in. And again, it would be a one-day event normally where everyone gets out and joins in. But again, due to the circumstance of the pandemic and that, we have to run it over 4 or 5 days. And I suppose they're keen to get the message out there too, that people don't congregate and meet in large numbers to do their walk and run and that. So, and also they'd be delighted to receive as many photographs afterwards when people complete it, in their groups. So if these are individually or whatever, that they send on a picture there. I know the details of that will be they have it on their Twitter page when they're launching it there on Wednesday. So if anyone wants to see that and send on the pictures after they complete the run, they'd be more than delighted to highlight it then on Twitter later.
Yeah, super. It's at Trínoide as well on Twitter, and I know that the hashtag is Wear It For Mark as well, which has been widely trending in the build-up. And as you say, Peter, the T-shirts have been posted, and just the amount of messages and videos and goodwill from people to promote the event as well. Everyone really kind of rallying behind Mark.
Yeah, exactly. Look, the support has been phenomenal up to now. It's kind of the last push now, I suppose, just to get the last few pound in and stuff. And, it's getting close to Mark returning home too as well. So this is all culminating and coming together nicely at the right time. So I'm sure Mark will be delighted with the support and to see so many people, in the coming week now wearing the blue and white T-shirt with Wear It For Mark on it. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, great stuff indeed. And I suppose you mentioned Mark there, Peter. Are you in a position, I suppose, at this moment just to give us an update on how he's progressing?
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, he's going very well. He's getting through a lot of work. It's obviously you're up in Dunleary to get through the work, and he's showing up to now like that. He's a determined young man. He's doing very well. He's getting through all the work, and he's counting down the days now. So he's getting close to completing his rehab in Dunleary, and hopefully get home then in the not so distant future.
Former Waterford hurler Peter Quealy rounding up this edition of Lorna Porca, and a reminder that the Mark Dalton 5k run and walk is taking place this weekend, so do support if you can. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a good Easter weekend. Slán go fóill.
Now you're hurling Lorna Porca with Tomás McCarthy on WLR.